So if you've seen the video with my 1911 project, I needed to find a holster that I thought would go well with my gun and not damage my gun. And I might have just found the company that you've been looking for but didn't even know existed. So let's take a look at 1791 gun holsters. All right, so this search started. I've wanted a Savoy leather holster for countless years, way before I even had a 1911. So I wanted that holster. It was time to buy a holster. I went on to Savoy. They are shut down, no longer in existence. Started doing a bunch of research. It looks like they got into marijuana growing, got raided. I don't really know what happened, but there are a lot of people that had given money for a holster, and now don't have a holster and they've gone bankrupt. So that's not good. So I said, oh no, what am I going to do now? So I started looking around for other holster company, and not Jason actually told me about 1791 Gunleather. So that's the company, 1791 Gunleather. Here's all their info, all their phone numbers and websites. There's a link in the description for their website, but there's their phone number if you want it. So I reached out to them. Full disclosure, I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm looking for a holster for my 1911. What do you guys recommend? And they said, well, actually, if you're going to talk about it on the channel and stuff, we'll send you a couple holster, and then you can make your own decision. So they sent me the Ultra Custom, which this looks really cool. If you haven't heard of this, so they have supposedly memory lock in this. It's different because you mold this to fit your gun. Unlike a Kydex holster that you have to get built exactly, to the specs of your gun. I should say that 1791 leather, they do sell Kydex holsters. So if you're looking for a Kydex holster, go on their website. But this is specifically looking at leather holster for my 1911. So say you have a different light that nobody makes a holster for, kind of like Olight. Optic ready, whatever. You get one of their holsters, and supposedly you use heat. You put it in a bag and put it in water. Use heat, 165 degrees for 5 minutes, and then you mold this to fit your gun. So that's what we're going to do today and see how well it works. Now I will say right off the bat, I went online and wrote down the pricing for these. So this online on their website at the time of filming this is $99.99. Here is just kind of a, I don't know, I guess you'd call it generic holster. It fits a lot of different gun, but this is specifically for a 5-inch 1911 inside the waistband. So we'll take a look at this too. And then their belt, this is $45.99 on their website. And then their belt, which is actually really robust, really thick. I'm really impressed with their belt. Is $59.99 to $64.99. I'm sure depending on your size, because it takes more leather, more expensive. But with that being said, when I first opened that box, you immediately get the smell or aroma of nice leather. Like if you've ever walked into a leather store, shop, or whatever, especially your high-end one, there's a smell in that store. That's what the box smelled like. That's what this box still smells like. So I'm excited. Let's get this done. I'm going to look at each individual part real quick before we build the holster or form it to the gun. So this is their belt, and like I said, I'm really impressed with the thickness of it. This is their black one. Obviously they have different color. I do like the beat up brown look. I normally don't like brown leather, but it looks really good on their website. Maybe that will be a future purchase. But here's my Samsung S21 Plus or whatever it is, and here's the belt. This is with a case on it. That belt is almost the same thickness as a cell phone. I mean, this is very thick, very robust. There's no way that this is going to get torn off your body if somebody grabs a hold of your gun and you try to do weapon retention and push it down in the holster. There's no way that this is going to get ripped off. So I'm really impressed with this. I like that belt. Wish I would have had that back in my actual policing days, because I would have wore this every day. Very classy, very nice. You can wear this with jeans or with dress clothes. So, very nice belt. Good job, 1791. All right, let's take a look at this real quick. Multi-fit inside the waistband, smooth concealment holster, This is all government frame 1911's 4-inch barrel. So I think because of the open slit in the bottom, it'll fit 5-inch. I hope so. So I'll put this. You can pause the screen and read this. It's actual instruction on how to break in your holster. I've only just used them, but they have actual instructions. So I will read over the in a little bit and see if I'm doing it right. Obviously not. That says something about your freezer. So we're going to start off with, of course, a clear and safe weapon. Now, let's see how well that fits. Now, all leather holsters are going to fit tight right off the get-go. Oh yeah, that fits just fine. It's actually really nice. It says 4-inch barrel, but this is a 5-inch, obviously, and it flush on the bottom. Got a sweat guard, sweat protector. Got a nice, robust metal clip that's all sewn in. And let's look at the inside. I'm worried about damaging my firearm. So yeah, the inside, they're just thread on both sides, and it in a nice felt feel on the side. I do need to look up to see what kind of leather they're actually using for these, because I've heard depending on the leather, I don't know, tell me in the comments, depending on the leather, you can actually mess up the finish of your firearm. So, but if not too tight, you can actually draw that out, but it's tight enough to maintain it. So I'm not touching it. Yeah, pretty good. All right, let's move on. Okay, I think this is going to be very intriguing for most people. So, ultra custom with memory lock technology, mold and remold your holster for the ultimate customization. So supposedly, you know, if the firearm are close in family, you can buy one holster. Say you mold it, I'm just going to throw out guns, okay? Say you mold it for a Springfield Mod 2, and then later on you get a SIG 320. I have no idea if the two gun will work in the same holster, but supposedly you can remold this holster to fit, you know, common guns, or similar guns, I should say. So let's take a look, open here. Cool little hologram, remember though, from the 90s. So I wanted specifically an outside the waistband holster. And look at all that it comes with. So there's the holster instruction, I'm guessing molding tools. I'm guessing instructions. And supposedly this is the Guns and Ammo 2020 holster of the year. So I'm excited. I'm going to get all that open and then we're going to take a look. Alright, so here's an instruction. Here's the bag that you're obviously going to put the leather in so it doesn't make direct contact with the water. But here's everything that you need. So you need the holster, you need woodworking tool, which are, or woodworking, leatherworking tool, which are supplied. Plastic bag supplied, cooking pot not supplied, cooking thermometer not supplied, cooking tongs not included, and clothespin not included. So here's an instruction. You can pause it if that's why you're here. They rolled that paper up. There's an instruction. Go ahead and pause. Back instructions. Alright, but we're going to do this together, so we'll see the entire process. Alright, so we're in my wife's kitchen. Step 1, preheat about a gallon of water. I don't know how to measure it. To 155 to 175. Do not exceed 185. So while the water coming up to temp, place the firearm into the heavy-duty plastic bag which they supply and seal it. Place the plastic bag containing the holster into the hot water, ensuring the holster fully submerged. So that's a step that we're on. We're letting that come up to temp. We're going to put the holster in the bag, and then once it is at temp, then put it into the water. Now, multiple times on the instruction, it warns not to go to over 185 degrees. So I'm not using a cooking thermometer, but I have this. We're at 101 right now. This is what I'm going to use to keep it between that, let's see, 155 to 175. Now, on the instruction, it did state that you can use a river rock. Luckily, I have a bunch outside. To place it says inside the holster to help keep the holster submerged into the water. So we got holster in the bag, we got a river rock. I didn't shove that in, I just lightly placed it into the holster. I don't want the holster taking form around that rock. So we got this, now we just gotta wait for the water to come up to temp. Alright, while the water coming up to temp, I'm just going to go over a couple things. So the number one thing that they talk about not doing is going over 185 degrees. So that's why I have the thermometer. We're going to make sure that we don't. Now water boils, depending on your elevation, at around 212 degrees. So you can't tell by it boiling or whatever. You have to have an actual thermometer, which, let's do a little check right now. 131 what we're at. So we're waiting on that 155 to drop it in. Then also it says don't get it wet. So if the water gets through the bag, then you're gonna have to let it dry. Like they even say on here to wipe down the bag with paper towels before taking it out of the bag. They said that if it doesn't get wet, it doesn't ruin it. You just gotta let it completely cool and dry, and then start the whole process over, which I don't want to do. So that's that, and then it going through a whole time thing where you start off with 8 minutes, and then you take it out and see if it's malleable. If not, then you do another 3 minutes. If it's still not malleable, then you do another 2 minutes, so forth and so on. So I won't bore you when I'm doing all those steps. Then after, so once you take it out, you slide the firearm down into it, and then you use one of the tools. So they give you 2 of these. This has a channel cut down it. So you slide this on over top of the barrel, obviously because of sights, right? So you don't want it to form around your sights. So you actually shove them into the holster over top like this, so it creates a sight channel. So I'll be doing that. What else? What are some more warning? Oh, you mold it with your hand as much as you do the tools. So you're gonna mold it and form it, especially around the trigger well, around the ejection port, stuff like that, where you always see defining lines on a normal leather holster. But it says that you use your hands as much as you do the tools. You do that for 5 minutes, then you place the firearm on your belt to mold in the sides. And they do say to mold the sides over before you even slide the firearm in. But then you place it on your belt and you wait about 10 minutes, and after that it should be formed, so you can take it off. So that's what we're gonna do. Now I don't have to explain it at all. Alright, so here we go. We're at 155.9, 161, depending on where. Here we go. Dang, even with the rock it doesn't want, oh, probably because there's a bunch of air in the bag. Oh. It does not want to sink, even with the rock. So I'm going to have to get something to help hold it under there, I guess. I don't know. I'm so out of sorts being in my wife's kitchen. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life in here. Man, I don't want to put pressure on it because then it becomes moldable. I'm going to have a line in the holster. Didn't like that heat. It was like putting a lobster into a boiling water. Alright, so here starts the first 8-minute wait. Okay, I had no idea that leather was so buoyant, because it's not the air in the bag. There's no air in the bottom of the bag. And yeah, that rock did nothing. You'll have to put a brick in there to get it to sink. So I'm holding it with a spatula, trying to keep it underwater without putting dents in it, while continuing to check. We're still at 160. We have a timer set on the stove. We have 7 minutes left. I won't bore you with this part. Okay, so our first 8 minutes are up. The temperature never got above 168. I say that as a 172. So it's 172 right now. But on the high end they said 175. So now we're supposed to check to see if it's malleable. Not really. So we're going to submerge it again. Set timer for 3 minutes this time. And let it sit for 3 minutes. Alright, so the second 3 minutes are up. You can see it's reforming where I'm having to hold it with the spatula, so it probably should be good. Can't tell, it's hot. Oh yeah, it should be good. The belt loops are still pretty stiff, but we're gonna give this a try. So here we go. I'm gonna try to position the camera right there. Put this out on the paper towels like it says. Move this and not forget that that burner is very hot. That's what I'm gonna try to do. You can smell the leather. Smells good. There's my rock. Okay. Why doesn't the rock have? Whatever. There are some water spots on it. I'm just gonna go with it. I think you want condensation inside the bag actually. So instructions say slide it to desired depth. Then get this tool and shove it. I don't know if it's supposed to go this way. Over the sight. It does say up the barrel, so we're gonna go this way with it. Okay, I can see the prongs sticking out a little to the side, but I think that'll make a good enough channel. It looks like a good enough channel. Yeah, it did say important to bend these. So we're gonna start forming these. The wings. I know I'm hard to see, guys, sorry, but I'm trying to do this over a hot burner in my kitchen. So now we're going to start forming this with our hands and the tool. I don't really know what good the tool is going to do, but I'll start pushing on here. I guess set a timer for 5 minutes. But if you don't know, a lot of holster out there on the market, the retention comes from the trigger guard. So that's where I'm going to really focus, the trigger guard and the ejection port. That's where a lot of your retention for Kydex or leather come from. So this is where I'm going to focus. And I do want some of the lines, if I can get them in there. I want some of the lines showing the definition of the barrel because I like the way it looks. Alright, so I'm going to do that for 5 minutes. It's taking shape. Continue to fold that back. I mean, definitely pliable. You can see the definition of the trigger guard. You can start to see some of the definition of the slide. Just keep working it. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes and it's taking shape pretty well. I did end up forcing the sight guide through all the way up over the ejection port, or the chamber, whatever we want to call it. It's taking shape. So I'm going to do that for another 2 minutes and then put it on my belt for 10 so it can form to my belt and the side of my body, and then we'll go back onto the bench and see how good the retention is and see what we think. Alright, so let's see how the 1791 Gunleather holster came out. I think it came out pretty good. You can see like the nylon or something on the thread actually started sweating. I'm going to try to, it's like, I think it's nylon from the thread. It's not sticking to the leather, so I'm going to kind of peel that off to make it look a little bit better. But as you can see, it kept it form, so much so actually. I'm a little worried that this is holding the gun too well, which I'm really surprised about. I thought the retention was going to be not all that great, but it takes some effort to draw it. So it's not my everyday carry. I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, it's holding it form. You can see where the belt went through the loops. And let's see, nothing wrong with the finish on the gun. You can see where that plastic scraped across the top of it, but it just brushes off. So, yeah. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Try to get some light in there so you can see. But there's like actually indentation all the way down through that. where it formed to the firearm. Oh my gosh, that fit. Listen. There's almost like a click almost. Like in Kydex. You can see the whole thing move. Okay, well, I'm a fan, but my opinion doesn't matter. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Thank you for everybody that supports our channel and watches our video. We really appreciate it. And as always, if you have any direct question about this, you can comment it. But the best place to ask direct questions is get on our live chats. We do them every Thursday at, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, which would be 6:30 Pacific and 7:30 Mountain. There you go. They're all the times. Every Thursday we do our live chat. So get on our live chat this Thursday and you can ask all the questions that you want. All right. Thanks. Catch you on the next video.